Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Untitled Library Podcast. I'm Brad Castleberry. Today, we are lucky enough to talk with Yen. Yen is the cataloging librarian and has worked for the UWSP Libraries for over 21 years. During this conversation, we learn about Yen's early years in China, the path she followed which led her to Stevens Point, and what her career in Stevens Point has been like. I hope you enjoy our chat as much as I enjoyed learning more about Yen. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in southwest China, a very small town, I would say very similar actually to Stevens Point. So when I came here, it wasn't that much culture shock or anything.
Okay.
But terrain-wise, it's very different. It's very mountainous, high mountains, big rivers.
Was it a farming community or anything like that, or was it more urban?
I wouldn't say it's a urban community, but it's very small.
Okay.
Sort of nestled in the big mountains.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
So did you used to hike and do that
Yes,
kind of thing?
That's what I love. I love
Really?
to hike mountains. I love to just go outside, and I would say I love mountains more than oceans still. There's a Chinese saying that the wise people like the oceans or the waters, but the compassionate people prefer mountains.
And then you lived there all the way until you went to college?
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
what was grade school, high school like in China?
I would say similar in terms of the grade levels, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I feel the curriculum is a little more advanced. Mm-hmm. Or people put more emphasis on, China's known for like rote memorization, that kind of thing.
Right.
But it's less stress, less emphasis on extracurriculum activities. You really just focus on studying the subjects, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what all you need to get into college.
Is the grades.
Yes,
yeah.
Not necessarily even the grades, because the grades don't factor into your entrance at all. It's there's that final college entrance examination. That's a nationwide standardized test.
Okay.
That will place you into different tiers of a college.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a single examination. It's a series of examinations for different subjects.
Okay.
So it's like 6 or 8 subjects that you take the exams in 3 days. At my time, of course. Now it's a little different, and then that's all you have to decide which college or which university you can go to.
How much pressure was that?
Very stressful,
I can't imagine.
Tell you. Totally. I mean, even nowadays, when the rules are a little more relaxed, you still get a lot of suicides.
Really? Because they don't want to face taking the tests.
Right.
Wow.
Or it's just too much pressure from parents, from the family, from yourself, from peers.
Right. Because, here we have ACTs, SATs.
Right.
But it doesn't sound like it's anything comparable.
Not even close. Because imagine if here ACT or SAT is the only thing that will...
They don't look at your extracurriculars.
No.
They don't look at your grades.
No, none of that.
So they just assume... They don't look at a grade point average? Like...
Yeah.
You could be a C student and you could ace these tests and you're set for life.
Yes.
Kind of?
Yes.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Different.
Or you could choke and end up on a third-tier school.
Oh yeah, I have actually classmates like that.
Oh my
They
gosh.
just totally like normally they would place according to the usual grades. They would probably achieve like the first-tier college, but they just didn't do well on that. Final series of examinations. Then they just went into a second-tier college.
It ruins your life.
Totally. So it's not a good system.
No, well, I don't want to be too bleak, but it's like, how do you go on like with that kind of disappointment?
You just have to make up. When you get into the second stage of your life in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't play sports in school? Were they offered?
No, we had physical education classes, but normally, you have to think back then China was pretty. It was a real third world country. There wasn't
extra
many
money
options.
to be
So it's like we had the classes. Most what we did is just running, and then there are like the horizontal bars you can play on, that kind of thing.
Was there like forensics or other type of like theater groups
No.
or choir or
Nope.
band?
None of that.
Really?
Where I went to school.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
No, none of that. Really, all we did is study,
Focus-
study.
Was there a subject you excelled in? Or
English.
several?
English.
Okay.
English actually was pretty good.
Was it?
I have a fascination with language
Okay.
from a very young age.
Is it expected to learn a second language?
Yes.
Okay. And
So
do you get to
everyone was-
choose, or does everybody kind of learn English or kind of
The
learn?
majority of the country, I think, they usually go for English because it's really the world language if you think
Right.
about it. But depending on where you are, like if you're in the northwest area where China is bordering Russia, a lot of people studied Russian as well. Or if you're sort of close to Japan in that eastern region, a lot of people chose Japanese as well,
Okay.
or Korean.
Yeah.
So there are a few options.
Were you interested in libraries and reading when you were younger?
Yes, very much actually.
In grade school and
I would say maybe when I was in middle school, elementary school was all about having fun.
Right.
Even for me.
Yes.
I remember I almost flunked my math test when I was in elementary school.
Oh no.
Then I felt so ashamed. I
Yeah.
didn't even dare to go home. But my parents were they brushed it aside. They didn't even mention it. So which
Good,
was
that's
a
good.
big encouragement for me. So
Yeah.
I wasn't too worried. But when I got into middle school, my mom actually turned out to, she wasn't a librarian to begin with, but when I was in middle school, she became the school librarian
really?
for my middle school.
Oh, that's cool.
So I was kind of allowed access to all the materials during the off hours.
Wow.
So that was fabulous.
Does China have, or I guess your school, do they have big libraries? Are they
Actually
comparable
pretty-
to like
No,
ones
I
we
would
have?
say much smaller.
much smaller?
At least at my time, it
Okay.
was a much smaller library.
But it didn't matter. You had books to
Right.
read, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I remember reading like Mark Twain's "Roughing It" in Chinese translation.
really?
Of course, it was fascinating. It was
Yeah.
so funny.
So, did you just study English, or did you also study Russian or anything else?
No, I just studied
Just
English
okay.
in grade schools.
Okay. So your reading that you got excited about in middle school, did that continue through high school?
Yes.
Big reader?
Yes.
Okay. How did you end up leaving China?
I went to grad school in China and already was teaching in the university where I went to college at.
Oh.
So I was pretty much all settled.
Yeah.
But my sister had come here in 1991. So she liked here a lot. She was always asking me to come join her.
Wow.
I'm like, no, I'm already settled in China. I was already, having a job. I'm teaching
Yeah.
in the university. I was pretty happy with my job. But she kept pushing me. So I said, okay, I'll take the necessary exams, which is like the TOEFL test for your English skills and also the GRE for grad school.
Yeah.
So my thinking was, if I didn't do well, I'll forget about it.
Yeah.
But I happened to have done pretty well on both exams. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll apply. Then I applied for about a dozen different universities and colleges here for grad school.
Well, we need to back up then. I didn't realize you taught in China.
I did, yes, for
Okay.
2 years.
So you completed college
And graduate school. Yes, yes.
And then you worked where?
At a university called Sichuan University, which is
Okay.
the sort of the top university in my province.
And what did you teach?
English.
English?
Yes.
This is great.
I was an English major in college.
Okay. And then graduate school English.
Yeah.
Yep. And then what did you do do you have to do like a dissertation or something for graduate school? Or
I did a thesis because
Okay,
it was
what
a
was-
master's program.
what was that about?
American cowboys.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's fascinating.
I know. I was very fascinated with the cowboy culture, basically.
Yeah.
To me, it's just so
Oh, that's great.
interesting. So I wrote a thesis about American cowboys, what they stand for, the culture behind it, the history, and all that.
That is
I don't think it's a very good thesis, but it got me through grad
Exactly.
school.
Yeah. Did you get hired right away
Yes.
as that was the first place you applied to, and
right.
Wow, that's pretty
I
lucky.
actually didn't even apply for it. In China, it used to, before my college years, I would say a few years before I went to college, you got to assign a job after you graduate from college.
Okay.
So it was, you didn't even have to apply for anything.
Wow.
So at my time, you could still be assigned a job, but you could also go apply for jobs on your own. So I was sort of kind of assigned that job, which I was happy with because I like to teach and I like to be in the college, work
It was the school you went to graduate school?
Yes.
So it was a real simple kind of next step.
Right.
Okay, so you've been working in China as a professor?
No. It's like a
lecturer? How do they?
It's a lecturer.
Okay.
They have their promotional tracks too. Like here, you start as the like if you don't have a PhD degree, you start at a certain level, then you move up. So in China, it's the same.
Okay, so it was
I was just starting out.
Entry level in quotes. Okay.
Right.
So then you took your GRE and
the TOEFL test.
Yes, and then got high marks because, of course, you did.
Right. Well, not really that high, but high enough.
So did you want to go to Hawaii, or did you apply to a bunch of different graduate schools? I
actually wanted to go to probably UPenn the most. But I mean, they gave me admission, but there was no financial support. Back then, it was pretty difficult for Chinese, if they didn't have any financial support from the school, to come here to study.
I would imagine.
Right.
Yeah. So when you enrolled at Hawaii, what was your area of study? Was it?
It was actually, it's called TESOL, Teaching English as a Second Language.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was, teaching English. I thought that would be a nice degree to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I wasn't really planning on staying here initially. I was like, I'll get my degree, then I'll go back to China to continue teaching English.
Oh, that's interesting. So then, when did you switch to libraries?
Immediately, almost, I found a job in the library, like any student, right? A lot of students, they're looking for employment on campus. So library is my first job. And I have to say, since very young, I always wanted to become a librarian.
Following your mother's footsteps?
Following my mother's footsteps, or just because of the love for reading and for books, for literary things. I initially, when I was applying for college in China, I wanted to apply for the study in library and information science, because China, they have actually undergraduate degree in library information science. But that year, because of I don't know if you know the Tiananmen Square incident, the university I wanted to go to, they actually cut down on their recruitment. So that was one of the majors they didn't recruit at all for that year. Yeah, so they just basically cut back.
So this international incident affected your education.
I know, right? Who would have thought?
Yeah. Wow.
So my second choice was English, so I went for the English department. Wow. Then, of course, when I came to Hawaii, I realized there's a library program there that's actually very good. So then the second year I enrolled in that program. So I had two programs going on at the same time.
Oh, you did?
Right.
So you were going to get 2 masters?
Yeah. So I got.
Did you get 2 masters?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So TESOL and then the library information and science degree.
How scary was it to just leave China and come on your own to get an education?
I wouldn't say it's it's scary. It's just a lot of new things you have to face.
A lot to
I'm
learn.
maybe one of the luckier ones because my sister was here. Even though I wasn't with her, I felt like I had somebody here to turn to if I run into some problem or issues.
That's true.
But I have to say it was good because people here are so nice.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yes, very, very nice.
Is that your only sibling?
Yes.
And after graduation, send out applications?
Yes.
All over the place? Or,
all over the place.
And Stevens Point was lucky enough to notice you?
Well, I was lucky enough to get hired here.
Okay.
But I did go to another interview at Ithaca College which is where
New
Cornell
York?
University,
Yeah.
upstate New York.
Yep.
It's right next to Cornell University. It's a beautiful area.
I bet.
Very similar to my hometown because it's mountainous with
Oh.
the Finger Lakes and all that. So
Yeah.
pretty.
How many
So,
interviews did you have to go through?
only 2. This is my second
Oh,
one.
really? Okay.
And then right away we had we hit it off, kind of like the whole faculty who were interviewing me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was great.
Who was the library director? Was it?
Arnie Arneson.
Okay. And then you got hired as a cataloger right away?
Right.
So in graduate school, I'm guessing you took definitely one cataloging class.
Yeah, I took both cataloging classes
Okay.
on the curriculum, and then I had a cataloging internship with the library as well.
Okay.
So I did a lot of hands-on things.
Did you take to cataloging right away? Because a lot of people find it difficult, challenging.
Oh, no.
But you and
I think
you
I
think
did
it's
it.
fun?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
good.
it's fun. See, different people, right?
Right. Absolutely.
To each their own.
Okay. So you wouldn't rather be I don't know, what other kind of librarians are there?
There's
You're very
public services.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, that's I would say that's a major reason why I applied for this particular job. It was a variety of things. It's not just cataloging. It's also in the job description it says reference, cataloging, and instruction.
Yeah.
That's really what I liked about the job.
You like doing instruction? You like working with students?
Right, right, and also reference. So I didn't want to just do cataloging,
Yeah.
even though I really like cataloging. I feel like it probably would have driven me crazy.
So you ended up in Stevens Point because you just applied.
Yes,
You flew from Hawaii to Stevens Point for the.
in January. I came here for the interview in October, so that wasn't bad. It was beautiful with all the fall colors.
Yeah.
But I came to work in January, so that was very bad.
What was the climate like where you lived in China?
It's very mild. It's kind of like, I would say like Alabama, Mississippi, that kind of
Okay.
climate.
So what was the shock like your first Wisconsin winter?
Not so much the snow. The shock was actually, I got hit by a car less than a week into my job.
Walking?
Right,
You were
walking. That intersection between Division and 4th Avenue. Right?
Oh, yeah.
The Y and
Still
the fire.
terrible.
That day I was crossing towards the Y from the university side. And the woman making a left turn hit me right in the middle of the road.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I was taken to the hospital, which is like just around
blocks
the corner.
away, yeah.
Right. And that was even before my health insurance kicked in.
Oh my gosh. But her
So we had
insurance
to-
paid for it, hopefully.
Yes, yes.
Were you injured?
Yes. I
Broken-
had a fractured tibia, so I had major surgery done. I still have 2 plates in my
Gosh.
in my knee here. So that was a quick introduction.
Yeah.
But I would say it's a kind of a blessing in disguise because it allowed me to get acquainted with all the colleagues right away because they came to visit
Yeah,
me
I would imagine.
in the hospital, in the clinic. And then Narissa took me in after I was discharged from the hospital.
Oh, wow.
I stayed with them for 3 days. Very grateful.
Wow.
And then, of course, I had an apartment already, so I moved back to my apartment. I was on crutches, and Narissa and Axel came every day to pick me up to go to work. And then, like people like Sybil, they took me grocery shopping on the weekends and all that. So
That is nice.
yeah, and Maya and all those. I mean, all the library colleagues are so nice to me.
Wow. Can you tell me how the library's changed in the last 21 years then? I know we have a lot less employees than
Right.
we used to.
Right.
Like in cataloging, for example, you used to have multiple catalogers, right?
Right.
How many?
Let me count. When I first came, there were 6 of us.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, Carol Van Horn, I don't know if you know her. She
No.
was sort of the head of cataloging, but she wasn't really full-time cataloging because she also took care of the systems. So she was, then the rest of us really were Well, I wouldn't count myself full-time cataloging either because
Okay.
I do reference, I do instruction.
Oh,
Now I
sure.
take on Gov Docs, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But still, we had 6 people in the department back then.
So what has changed from then till now that you only need 2
Of
people?
us. One is we're in the consortium now, so
Okay.
which makes cataloging a lot easier. a lot of records are in the system already, so we don't really have to do
So they're
a
in
whole.
OCLC?
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, the Alma on the Alma side.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people would have brought in the record into the into our, we call it NZ, the network zone, which is for the UWS system.
Okay.
So if the record is there, you just do some verification, then you just add on our holdings and item record, which is much easier.
Is that what's called copy cataloging?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, a lot of things have migrated online.
Yeah.
We do a lot of batch loading of e-records, much more so than before, of course, because,
Right.
20 years ago, we didn't have that many
Right.
electronic records. And also, like, e-books as well.
You travel to China?
Yes, I do.
How often do you return?
I usually do it every other year.
Okay.
But COVID, definitely we didn't go back for
Yeah.
quite a few years. But I try to do it every other year to just go visit
Visit your family?
family and friends, and to travel there as well.
Okay.
Because it's, I go other countries to travel, but China still has a special, place in my heart.
Absolutely.
Because it's where you grew up and then you feel most familiar with.
Yeah.
And it's a huge country, just like the U.S. So there's a lot of places you can go traveling to. So it's a lot.
How has your hometown changed since you've been gone?
It's sort of like light and day, I would
Really?
say. For anybody who's listening, go to China.
Yes.
Don't be afraid of the politics. It doesn't really factor in the daily life at all. China has really come a long way in the past, I want to say 30, 40 years. Even when I was growing up, it was really a very poor country. Like we barely had enough to eat, and a lot of things we didn't have. But now it's like the life there is so convenient, so comfy. In a lot of areas, I even think it's better than in the U.S. We
Really?
have the high-speed trains all across
Yeah.
the country. You can take the high-speed train even to Tibet. And my hometown, back then where I went to college, is the capital city of our province. So if you want to go from the capital city to my hometown by bus, it would take almost the whole day.
Yeah.
But now by high-speed train, it's a couple hours.
That's amazing. So after you retire, do you plan on staying in the United States, or do you plan on moving back to China?
I'll probably stay in the U.S.
Yeah. This is do you consider this your home now?
Yes.
And until next time, keep reading, keep exploring, and remember, the library is always open for discovery.